howling for you.
Hi everyone, and once again thank you for joining us on WolfcastTV. This episode follows the latest Wolfpack victory, this time over the Rochdale Hornets, who came by this past Saturday at Lamport Stadium. It was a 52-10 victory, lots to talk about, so we'll get right to it. First and foremost, again, this is another game for the Wolfpack that really doesn't impact them in the standings. They've already locked up first place and are already looking ahead to Super 8, or Middle 8s, I should say. The one thing, though, that they wanted to do, I think, is remain relatively injury-free. And so our first case of business is shout out to Greg Worthington. Get better. Did look like a bit of an injury to his leg there. Good news, though, he was managed to uncrutches to be at the bench at halftime. So hopefully it's not too serious. My guess is he probably will miss next week. Again, just my opinion. But hopefully we'll be back in time. If not for the beginning, at least at some point during the middle eights. We certainly need his speed there on the wing. So listen, all the best, Greg Worthington. Get better. We need you back for the middle eights, obviously. Apart from that, it was a relatively uneventful game in that regard, other than a few skirmishes. Now, a few people were asking me at the game, why were there so many skirmishes and what's going on? Is Rochdale, a very aggressive team, dirty team? I don't think that's the case there. But one thing that I think people need to consider is when you're looking at the Toronto Wolfpack, there is a lot of attention being paid to them. Now, again, whether you are against it or not, I don't know whether that's right or wrong. But the truth of the matter is there's a lot of attention being on them, and they're one of the few, if only, teams that are televised every single week with regards to the championship series. So when there's a team like Rochdale or Swinton or Barrow that may not get as much media attention, every time they're on TV, more people are watching them, and I think each of the players there realize this, and they turn it up a notch, get that extra gear in there. Because again, who knows, it might further their career if they put in a good performance against the Toronto Wolfpack. This also means Wolfpack tend to get the best out of everybody, but as we can see by their 18 or 19 game winning streak, they're doing phenomenally well regardless of that fact. So yeah, there was a few skirmishes there, a couple of yellow cards. I think Darcy Lessick might have got one, and Chase Stanley as well. But like I said, all in all, at the end of it, shake hands, have a pint at the end of the game, and that's rugby league. Speaking of the league itself, as I mentioned, Toronto Wolfpack clearly out in front and have locked down the number one spot. But my oh my, has the rest of the fight for the top four finishing is going to be excellent with 1 week to go. So let's first of all take a look at the fixtures that took place this past week or on Sunday and see, hey, what's been going on here? So we look at some of the other scores on the out-of-town scoreboard. Dewsbury outlasted Batley 23-20. A big game here. Halifax beats Toulouse 19-14. Sheffield and Barrow. Sheffield wins 28-10. And here to the big games. Lee Centurions kept their playoff hopes alive with a 50-24 victory at home over Swinton. And here's a big one. London Broncos away at Featherstone, winning 14-7. So, what does this all mean? Well, here's the standings going into the final week of the season, and I don't think it can get any tighter than this. As mentioned, Toronto up at top with 41 points, and then we have three teams tied with 31 points for second, third, and fourth. So if it ended today, Toulouse, London, and Halifax would all be advancing through to the middle eights. But there is one more week to play, and you have Featherstone and Lee just a point behind. Now, unfortunately, if you're looking at the schedule coming up for next week, in the final week of the season, we're going to see some things there that aren't going to be very pretty for a couple of teams. The first team that's not going to be pretty for is Featherstone. They need to win and hope that one of the top, the second, third, and fourth place teams, one of them loses to be able to move up. But what if Featherstone? They're visiting Toronto. And we know how it's gone for any visiting team so far, visiting Toronto. So I'm not sure it looks very good for the Rovers there, unfortunately. The other team that is out of the running right now, Lee, that they don't control their own fate. They're at home to Sheffield. Should be a victory there, but again, they're going to need help from a couple of other teams to lose. So what they're looking for is either Toulouse losing at home to Dewsbury, or London losing away at Barrow. Now, Barrow Raiders, hey, that's where the Toronto Wolfpack wound up tying. Tough place to play, I should say. So that, you never know what might happen there. And finally, Halifax is at home to Rochdale with the trip back. Again, should be a victory for Halifax, but hey, you have to play the games to see what goes on. So we're looking at that here. Now, one thing that I wanted to bring up again, not that I don't feel any love lost for Lee Centurions, but I really do feel that the league, how do I put this, really put them under a rock. Lee's the one team that's played the Wolfpack 3 times, and that's 3 separate losses. So I'm not sure why they had a 23-game schedule instead of a 22-game schedule where you play each team twice, once away, once at home. But that extra week really is hurting Lee because, like I said, they wind up playing the Wolfpack, which was 3 losses for them in total. So if you take away one of those losses, and I'm sure probably victories for the other 4 teams there, it could be a completely different story with Lee having their fate in their own hands. But right now, they're going to have to win theirs and just pray that one of the other teams fall to make it in top 4. We'll see what happens next week with regards to that. With regards to the Wolfpack itself, just want to say the game against the Rovers, it's a different start time. Remember, everybody, it's a 1:30 start. Get there early and come on out and have a great time. There's one thing that I noticed with regards to the this past week here. First of all, kudos to the Toronto Wolfpack celebrating first responders. They had a couple of police officers there offering tickets at a much reduced price to any of those that are coming out. Again, fantastic way to thank the people that rarely get thanked and do a lot for this city and certainly deserve a lot more attention. On top of that, one thing with regards to the Wolfpack this past week, as much fun as it was watching the game, and used to see some of the hits. I think somebody tweeted it best when they thought that Corey Patterson nearly killed somebody the way they just ran over him. But off of it, I'm not sure if it just caught me off guard, but it was such a feeling like of coming home. I usually have my crew, we need to come up with a new nickname. Last year we were called the Bips, Burrow's Important People. It's a shout out to at Birdie Mag, at Fire Tag Lily, and at Biage. But on top of that, there's like other people going, and it's like, a family, right? Every week you get together and stuff like that. It's, oh, hey, how's it going? And you hug them, and hey, John, how's it going? And there's the flag, Robin, Kaz, and Matt, and everybody. And it's just such a warm feeling. Oh, and hey, there's, Global Ambassador Lindsay, and there's another Global Ambassador. Chris, it is just so great to see all these faces. And the one thing that's really impressive about it is that it just seems to keep growing. And that's what that Wolfpack game day experience kind of brings. So again, recommend everybody come out, bring a friend, and get involved and join in. It's one of those things that you really can get your hands in, sink your teeth into, and have such a great time in terms of, because the people there are fantastic, and all they want to do is have a good time, not only in terms of with themselves, but everybody's so welcoming. At least we tend to hear from visiting teams and their fans that come over. All we really want to do is make sure that they have a good time and everybody has a great time together. So that's another edition here of WolfcastTV. Hope you enjoyed it. Fairly quick. Have a good week. And remember, early start next week against Featherstone. And then we'll have to start talking about the middle eights and what the schedule is like and which Super League teams are going to come and visit us. As I know they've been determined, but which 2 out of the 4 are going to come visit us here in Toronto, which should be a spectacular way to end this season. Take care, everyone. Have a great time.